There is good news and bad news on the pandemic. The COVID-19 Delta variant is even worse than we thought, making it clear that this pandemic is far from over. But the reality appears to be sinking in. Nationally, vaccination rates are up by 30% for first doses in the last week. But we still have a long way to go. Our coverage begins with senior national correspondent Mark Strassmann. Mark?
Good morning, John. More than half of America's counties are now considered high transmission areas for COVID. New daily cases are now higher than they were at this point last summer. And yet many Americans still cut loose as though this pandemic is over. Lollapalooza, Chicago's annual 4-day music fest for tens of thousands of people, many of them unmasked, potentially a COVID-palooza. On Thursday, 90% of concertgoers showed proof of vaccination. 8% brought negative COVID tests. 600 people without paperwork were turned away. The worry, this new Delta variant can spread like chickenpox. Even vaccinated people can get it and give it.
We are also in the midst of our fourth surge here in the city, and that surge is being driven by the Delta variant.
At 2 San Francisco area hospitals, at least 233 staff members tested positive for the virus over the last month. 75% of those infected had been vaccinated in America's most vaccinated city. Nationally in the last week, COVID hospitalizations almost doubled, 97% of them unvaccinated. In these 43 states, the CDC predicts COVID deaths will likely rise over the next 2 weeks.
To those who are unvaccinated, shame on you.
That's 90 million eligible Americans. One response, vaccine mandates at Netflix, Google, Facebook, Morgan Stanley, and 600 universities. All 4 million federal employees and military members either get a vaccine or face weekly testing. Fear is motivating. Almost 5 million people got shots in the last 2 weeks, many of them in hotspot states with low vaccination rates, like Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi.
All my doctors have basically told me I should get it, so we're here.
But also increasingly apparent, the depth of denial.
Why are we testing healthy people to find out if they might be infected?
And defiance.
There will be no restrictions and no mandates in the state of Florida.
His state set a record Friday for the highest number of new cases since the start of the pandemic. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott's anti-mandate executive order said Texans have mastered the safe practices that help to prevent and avoid the spread of COVID-19. On Friday, Texas reported more than 13,000 new cases, its highest single-day jump in almost 6 months.
We have been here before. We've seen the movie over again. And what was once unpreventable, today it's preventable.
We're for freedom, baby!
These protests are back because masking is back. New mandates in places like Washington, D.C., Kansas City, and Atlanta, regardless of vaccination status. No one likes wearing one. Millions still refuse.
I don't agree with it because it takes away my individuality.
Now some good news. Almost 500,000 more Americans got their first shot yesterday. The CDC says that is, without question, the surest way out of this pandemic. John?
Mark Strassmann, thank you.